So, in this video, me and Spy are going to showcase just how good the new One Punch Man crossover units Stream Awakenings are. We're also showcasing their base buff kit, as all their kits have been buffed very much significantly. Starting with Saitama, we decided to showcase his Sustain and new capabilities. For Sustain, we decided on the Chapter 24 boss, Oga. This boss is a dragon and is also the latest hard boss in the game. As you may know, Saitama's Crimson Dream increases damage to demons and dragons by 100%, in which Saitama would do extra damage against. The team we use consists of Saitama, Star God Lisa, Priestess, and lastly Reyes. Since the boss needs to have poison on them in order to inflict a lot more damage, we brought a poison equip to help beat the boss. The team is quite straightforward, as we melt through the boss, spamming Priestesses and Star God Lisa's True Arts, as there's no point in using the other abilities. We use Reyes here for that full clear requirement, in which we don't need, because he died, but we can still get the Reyes clear done. And he buffs physical damage, and can act as a pseudo heal, which can actually help the team. And lastly, with Saitama, we do an Arts and True Arts rotation. As we head into the last phase, I messed up the timing of the poison equip, which sorta made Reyes die, but we cleared it anyway. Next, we did a quick nuclear with him. We decided to fight Garo's Specs Hyper stage, in which we did a quick nuke, which really just showcases that his high True Art multiplier can really do a lot. You don't really even need the Dream Awakening for him to do a lot. Next, we have Tatsumaki. As you may know, she was mainly buffed in the breaking department of her kit. So we decided on the Ragstrom Giant boss and the Chapter 16 boss, which is Emperor, through the night. We brought a Mono Earth comp, as the point of her Dream Awakening was increasing allies' max HP and Earth units Arch Gem. We used a Mono Earth on both stages and it went pretty well. For Ragstrom, we kinda just attacked until he broke and instantly died. And it actually broke kinda fast. On the Emperor stage, in which you can only break him once, was quite effective for Tatsumaki, as the whole point of the stage was to break him fast only once and just straight up kill him afterwards. A pretty straightforward Mono Earth team that can have some relevance in the meta. There isn't much to showcase about Tatsumaki herself, as all she does is break, and there's nothing else that's pretty relevant about her kit. Our third unit is Fubuki. As we already know, she is now a competent magic supporter, while also being able to Arch Gen for humans on her Verdant Dream Awakening. We decided to do the stages Born by Wishes and the Blade Awakens. We started with Blade Awakens, we sort of did a little trolling, and we decided to use Dark Heart as our main DPS, and Mako as our solo sustain unit. We also ran Juno for whatever reason. But the point was to showcase Dark Heart's damage with Fubuki's buff, and that sort of worked as we were able to melt through the phases until the second to last threshold. We stalled with Mako for a bit until we died, and Spy used his funny 3 continue to finish the stage. But yeah, Dark Heart did do some chunky damage. The next stage we did was Born by Wishes, as we wanted to sort of showcase Fubuki's magic nuking support potential, which sort of went wrong as we mistimed everything. But regardless, we got through the run in a technical, unsuccessful way. Next, we used Sonic. We ran his Aqueous Dream, as that's the one that you'd run when you're doing helpers, so you get 200 arts at the start of quest. But if you're actually using him as a competent DPS, running him with his Spectral Dream would be smarter. But for the sake of saving resources, we used this dream. We did the stages, the Blade Awakens, and Through the Night. Starting with Through the Night, we ran a pretty standard team consisting of Arthur, Hearth, and Morgoth Zen, in which we would compare to Garo, as they are both dark DPSs. Obviously, before we could do any damage, we'd have to wait for Arthur to break the boss, so we just sort of sustained until we broke him. With Sonic having 300% crit rate from Morgoth Zen's True Arts and his own True Arts, he had a whole 300% damage up, and basically ignored all of Emperor's crit resistance. After the boss is broken, DPS on the boss is actually really easy to do, and Sonic, ignoring all the crit resistance, is able to melt the boss in under 2 minutes. The capabilities of his buff do in fact make him an actual competent DPS. If only his multiplier was higher, he'd actually be able to contest with Ascended units. Another thing to note is that his evasion actually lets him dodge the attacks that Emperor is doing against him, but it wouldn't really matter if he was the only one alive when everyone else died, because it's just practically stalling the match even further until you finally died in the end. The next fight we did was the Blade Awakens. We ran the same exact team as we were quite lazy to change it, but Sonic, having the highest crit rate, was just able to ignore the crit resistance on Emmy and chip the boss's HP incredibly fast. Since we wanted to compare Garo and Sonic, we kept the same team composition and only switched out Sonic with Garo. Doing the same stages again, Chapter 14 and 16 boss, we ran Garo's Spectral Dream, as that would let us ramp his True Arts faster, as that's the one that gives him 200 arts at the start of quest. In Emperor's boss fight, we again of course waited for Arthur to break the boss to deal damage, but because Garo's kit was a ramping True Arts, all 5 stacks of his True Arts, which is equivalent to whole 500% arts damage up, were stacked on him, allowing him to basically deal 200% more damage than what Sonic could have done. But it should also be noted that Emperor has crit resistance, meaning that Garo isn't necessarily critting every single hit he was doing. But due to the nature of damage up, Garo melted Emperor just a tad bit faster than Sonic. He also dealt more damage by a whole 4 million compared to Sonic. On the Blade Awakens, the same could be said again, as Garo is able to ramp up more damage and conclusively deal more damage overall compared to Sonic yet again. It should also be noted that Garo can also increase his own accuracy, so on stages where that is needed, he can actually hit the enemy, unlike Sonic. But it should also be noted that Garo is much more better when you're doing longer fights and sustained stages, and Sonic is much better just in instant damage as a nuker, so for shorter stages. Well, that concludes our showcases on the One Punch Man Dream Awakenings, or rather, their buff. Let us know if you like this way of showcasing, or if you prefer some other way, or our original way, which we used in the original Ninja Dream Awakening showcase. Thank you.